Super excited to have my client and friend, Omito Beats, Tim here. This is dope, actually. Now, bro, it's kind of funny. This just popped in my brain. So, where I'm currently sitting is my apartment, but this used to be a garage.
Okay.
And that was when I was doing my podcast, Music Mastery Podcast. And I had you on that podcast. I think it was 4 years ago, I want to say.
So long ago, man. It seems like
Hella
forever
days.
ago.
Yeah, hella days. But we were in Gabe Schillinger's program together, I believe, right? Weren't we both in
Yeah.
Mini Money together?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, we
we were.
were.
I think we got connected that way, and we just got connected. You were cool enough to come on the pod. We became homies. But then, as of recently, we decided to work together. Where you were you were like, hey, let's rock and roll and do this, and you worked with me as a client, and so we've gotten some cool results. But before I we dive into that, I know your story, pretty well, but I would love for you to just share it with me and share it with everyone who's watching. Like, just tell us who's Omito Beats, who is Tim. Tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about your story and your background.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Like thanks for having me on this chat here. But yeah, I mean, I've been making beats since over 15 years now. My YouTube channel where I post all the type beats that I make just turned like 15 years old.
Wow.
And I was even kind of making beats a couple years before that. But I started making beats when I was in like fourth or fifth grade, something just like super young. I was like into YouTube and like we were doing some stuff in school. I remember like some programs that were like flash animations, which I think is even like outdated now. Like it used to be all these things online, and I remember like spending a lot of my time just being so fascinated with like these softwares and technology, and would end up like looking up YouTube videos on how to like do like 2D animation videos, and eventually I stumbled across like a how to make music video.
Mm.
And then that just like I guess like changed everything. Like I remember like getting my dad to help me download like the FL Studio trial version on a family computer, all throughout like then grade school. Like that was my hobby. That was my sports. That was my video games. That was like everything. Like making beats. Like I remember like waking up, you know, making a beat for like half an hour, going to school, and this is like in like fifth and sixth grade, coming back and like finishing the beat because the trial version you couldn't even save it. So it was just like what I was obsessed with. And then like years later, I guess because like, YouTube was such like a I don't know, such like a I guess home and source of inspiration to me because that's where I found out how to make beats. I started my own YouTube channel. That's the one that just turned 15 years old. And I was in ninth grade. I was, posting my beats online. And then, I remember spending a lot of time like in school. Like I would spend so much time trying to get my beats out to people, and I would spend a lot of time on the old mixtape website DatPiff.
Yeah. Oh
And
my
you used
God.
to you used to be able to see like the most recent uploaded mixtapes. So I would sort by like most recent, and like of course there was like, some of these they weren't even big at the time, but there was like Drake, like Kendrick, like J. Cole and stuff. But like the independent people, they always had like their contact stuff in their like description of the mixtape. So
Smart.
I remember like spending so many like lunch breaks and like during class in ninth grade like messaging like just trying to work with like rappers and just sharing my like links to my YouTube channel and my beats and stuff. And I remember like I had someone that I just kept sending them stuff like over and over and over, just trying to work with them. And eventually they were like, dude, you've sent us like so much stuff, you've given us so much value. They were like, let's like, can we pay you something for like a beat? And I was like, I'm in ninth grade, I don't have a PayPal account, like don't worry about it. And they were like, dude, we like need to pay you for the work you've given us. So I was like, okay, let's do we agreed on a custom beat for $40.
Ha.
And and I remember they sent it to me and I like saw it on my like iPod Touch, and I think I had to go on like I had a USB drive and I had to go on like the school computer in the library to send it to them at break. But like that was kind of like the start of it. I mean, this was even before like the whole type beats thing even hit YouTube. This was like before like I think producers were still on SoundClick. But
Wow.
they weren't on you like type beats like weren't on YouTube. Like I was labeling my beats like
Interesting.
beat I made on Thursday, June 1st or whatever. And then
Okay.
like just kind of throughout high school, the next 4 years is where it really started to, I guess, kind of like pick up. And without even me kind of realizing, I just kind of did more and more of that. I was, posting more beats on my YouTube channel. I was type beats were kind of hitting the scene, and this was when Drake's Take Care album came out.
Oof.
I was making like Take Care type beats, and it was a whole different ball game on YouTube. So like I would post a beat, and it would be like, number one ranking, and it would get like you tens of thousands of views like in the first day. Like it was like insane, right? And
Okay.
just yeah, over there, like I mean, then it was like, okay, let me set up SoundClick. Let me get on my Flash store, which is now Airbit. And it just kind of led into that. And all throughout high school, like I remember too, just like even at the end, like it kind of came full circle where I was like, you know, spending my lunch breaks or like, kind of skipping class or in class, like still trying to message rappers and sell beats and stuff. And, when I would be in class, I would get a PayPal notification on my phone. I would ask to go to the washroom and email the guy the beat from my phone and stuff. And
Ha.
so that was like really like the start of it, like those 4 years, I guess. And then like I went to college, I studied marketing. I was kind of on the job with this digital marketing agency that learned like a ton of stuff. And I went to like school for marketing to kind of like learn the business aspect of it, since music is like obviously so. I didn't feel like it was like as dependable. Like it was so random, right? Even now, I mean, as we know, it's so random, and especially being self-employed. But I learned a lot from it. I graduated college in 20 2017 or 2018, and then since then been doing this full time, and it's just kind of every year grown a little bit more, a little bit more. Yeah, and then like when COVID hit, when the pandemic hit, that's when I like really locked in and was like, okay, let me like kind of change my style a little bit, but really kind of like figure out my perfecting my own brand, Omito Beats. And it was like,
Mm.
because over the years I just did like so many different things over the years, and then really kind of locked in on this sound, this style. And yeah, I mean, it's just been getting, really better and better. But I've been doing it full time now for, I guess, 7 years at least.
Okay. Dope, dope. I love all of this. Like you clearly, I mean, bro, you've been doing this for so long, like
Yeah.
a long,
Yeah.
long, long time. Like, so your YouTube channel turned 15, but like you've really been doing it a little longer than that.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is it's really interesting that you kind of caught the YouTube thing with producers before. Like you were very
Yeah.
early on with that, which is great. Like that's awesome because, it's obviously helped you a lot. But what I'm hearing from you is just the consistency. I mean, to be doing this for this long, bro. Like that's
Yeah.
great. I would love to know in your story. I want to know the pivot point that happened for you because you said you've been doing it full time for 7 years, but you said
Yeah.
you've been doing it for 15 years.
Yeah.
When did it become you would call it full time? And like, how much money did you make that year that you called it full time?
I think it was, well, like I knew that I was always gonna go to college right after high school. That was just like a thing. I remember at
Same.
the end of high school, I was making just over 30 grand. Like I could have been full time right out of high school, right? But I
You're
was,
doing 30 grand a year from beats, like selling beats online.
yeah,
Oh, out of
yeah,
high school.
out of high school, I was
Oh,
18.
dude, you must have felt like a fucking
Yeah.
baller. That like getting out of
But
high school, that's sick.
yeah, dude, it was like the thing was like I didn't like even notice it though. Like I remember like it was just like I was just posting the beats, like, playing the YouTube game, messaging people. I didn't even realize like the numbers I was doing. Like I was tracking everything, right? For like taxes and accounting stuff. But like I remember like I finally showed my friend like, how much I was making. He was like, dude, you're making 30 grand. Like that's insane. And I was like, I guess. I like didn't even like it didn't even clue into me, right?
Wow.
So it could have been like, yeah, out of high school, but I mean I was, 18. I was just, still trying to figure out. And I didn't even like really think about the money. But throughout college, then, like, I didn't need to have like an additional job because I would go to like school and, either schedule all my classes really early so I could come home and do music, or I would get to school and like get to the college classes and still do like work on my laptop for my beats and then just learn everything quickly on my own. So like I mean, it could have been like full time right out of high school, like 18. I
Mm,
still went to college. I'm happy I did because I learned a lot and a lot about like the structure and stuff too. But yeah, then I think out of college, I was making like just over 100 grand a year. And
right
that
out of
was,
college.
yeah, right out of college. I mean, yeah, we went from like 30 grand and then 3 years later kind of jumped it to 100.
You were so during college, you were it sounds like you were still grinding on the business. And it
Yeah.
sounds like you were not just grinding on it, but you were growing the business in
Yeah.
college. It was getting bigger. You were making more money.
Yeah.
Cool, got
And
you.
that was like when like type beats were definitely more established. This was when I was like 60 to 70K YouTube subscribers. So,
That's
and then
awesome.
probably like, yeah, I guess maybe 7 or something years, 6, 7 years of putting my stuff online at that point.
Okay. Dude, that's fucking awesome. Um, okay. And so just in 2024, let's kind of fast forward. 2024, how much did you make selling beats online?
I think that was my, I'm pretty sure that was my best year ever. It was about, I think like 160K.
That's awesome, dude. Like that's so
Yeah.
cool. I'm happy for you. Like that's fucking
Thank
incredible.
you.
So, okay. So let's pivot and talk about like first of all, what even caused you to want to work with me? Like I know from a trust level, like we've known each other for 4 years, so I know
Yeah.
we've had that. But
Yeah.
beyond that point, what was the point that made you feel like, okay, I want to actually, um, what was it that made you want to actually start coming into music money mastery?
Yeah, I think a big thing of it was like obviously, you and I have been, tight for years. You and I have had awesome conversations,
Yeah.
even just like through DMs, like brainstorming ideas and stuff. And I remember, we got reconnected maybe like a month ago and we were talking about some ideas and I was like, yeah, these were ideas that, we talked about 1 or 2 years ago. And I was like, damn, you know, 1 or 2 years went by and I still didn't even have a chance to implement them yet, right? So like one thing that kind of led me to joining, this program and working with you is like, okay, like I've had these ideas, I've been excited about them, but I guess I need a little bit of hand holding with implementing them, right? Because,
Mm,
just leaving it up to me, time just escaped me a little bit, with everything I do with the beats, the social media stuff, other like, music projects, etc. Like I feel like yeah, the past like 1 or 2 years since we even brainstormed some of these ideas just like went by way too quick, and I was like, okay, I don't want to like let too much time go now without implementing this stuff because I, was excited for it. I, saw the potential of it. But yeah, I think I just really needed that kind of like guidance, that framework. Accountability was a big word I was thinking of too, and I know something that we always talked about was, yeah, just having that accountability for you to offer myself and us working together like that.
okay, got it. That's the biggest thing was the accountability and just having somebody that
Yeah,
you could actually go to help you get to these next points. Yeah.
yeah,
You know what's interesting about that, bro? I love that you said that. I just recently hired a fitness coach, and look, I've known how to get in shape
yeah,
before that. I used to be in really, I mean, I'm in really pretty good shape right now, but I used to be in much better
yeah.
shape. I was at like I've done 75 hard, I've done live hard, I've done like all that stuff. I got down to 12% body fat in about
Wow.
2021. But
Yeah,
from 2021 to now, like I let myself go. I was kind of being lazy. I was like being lazy mostly on the diet, just letting myself kind of eat whatever I wanted and still
yeah,
working out. But I recently just was like, no, I need to make a change and I want to get a six pack and look like a freaking statue. And I've been saying that for a while. And if I could do it on my own, I would have.
yeah,
It's been 4 years. So I just
yeah,
paid a coach 3 grand and I already knew what to do. Like I've already been in this guy's program before. I'm in his course, which was cheap. I have his diet, I have his
yeah,
workout programs, but like, why wasn't I getting in better shape? And it's like I literally paid him mostly for the accountability. So, because like now I'm literally like, there's not a fucking chance I'm gonna cheat on my diet. I paid him 3 grand. That's like literally
yeah,
I'm pissing 3 grand down the drain if I
yeah,
cheat. There's no fucking way that I'm gonna cheat. So the same thing for you, the accountability, I take that to the
yeah.
extreme as well.
For sure. Yeah. Like I saw joining this, obviously like accountability, from yourself and having, that structure, which I really liked. Obviously, like the information as well too. Like um, uh, you know, I think I have good ideas and I know how to implement stuff, but I know that you also have different opinions, different experience, and as we've seen many times working together, is like even having just a different set of eyes is stuff like I'm like, why didn't I realize that like right away, right? But I think too, like, one thing that really personal wise for me was just like how it was kind of an investment on myself. And it was like,
Mm.
again, kind of the accountability thing, but it was like, okay, I want to enroll in this. I want to commit to this to prove to myself that I'm like, ready to take action on these ideas I've had for a while.
I love that you mentioned like that you realized it was an investment in yourself.
Yeah.
That's super dope. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's talk about this then. We've heard your backstory long term. We know where you were at 2024. Coming into this, where were you at before you started working with me?
Yeah. Like I think I was just I guess kind of like eager to learn what's next, I'd say. And then also kind of thinking like ahead, like that's where I've kind of been in this point in my life, in this, age and in this time in my life right now where I'm really thinking about what the future is going to look like for me. And I'm like, okay, well, if I want to get to that point or that goal or that vision, maybe it requires some things I have to do right now to get there. So like one thing, for example, was just like automation and automating my time in certain places. So, in 3, 5, 10 years or whatever, certain things can be automated, right? So I was kind of thinking in that sense that I'm like, yeah, I'm, thinking ahead. I want to have these processes set up. I want to learn more. I feel like I've got a, you know, decent system under my belt that I've made, but like, I feel like there's more opportunities. And yeah, I mean, just being excited about those things too. I'm the type of person who like when I hears an idea, I'm like get so excited and I like want to implement that right now. So like some of the stuff that like we were talking about, I was like, yeah, I'm excited about that. I want to do that right now.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, and when we came to start working together, it was basically I'll build out many chat automations for you and
Yeah,
we'll brainstorm ideas. The goal,
yeah,
I think, originally was like, let's scale up your efforts selling beats to artists. Let's come
yeah,
up with a higher price thing for that. Let's try to automate. But it switched pretty quickly. Like you
yeah,
had decided, hey, I'm gonna kind of switch it up. Talk about the switch you made, why you made that switch.
yeah. You know what? I know like for me, over the years, I've kind of like built two audiences that follow me. So there's like the artists who buy beats, and then there's the producers who just really kind of follow me. And I'm not really offering them or, monetizing or it's like kind of, I don't want to say like taking advantage, but like doing something for that audience, right? So I felt like there were so many different ways that we kind of planned and brainstormed and had this list of like all these different ways that we could go about it. I think that like me kind of switching gears to the like, producer kind of education side, um, I know that that was like one area that I've always wanted to get into, but I've never really figured out. So it was kind of like a really big like gray area. And that's kind of what, one thing that I needed your guidance was on figuring that out because I know I want to do it. I know I could do it. I don't know exactly how. So that was one thing. And then yeah, I think just like I know that I obviously love so much talking about music and selling beats and everything. And it's I always get so excited, yeah, just talking about it. And I always ramble on and on about, stuff I learned and stuff. So it's exciting for me to talk with people who are, you know, either on the same level as me or, starting out or before. Just to yeah, like, speak with them because I know that we like have, the same goals and the same vision and stuff, right? Like for an artist, I mean, I can give them all the beats, but I'm not the one performing. I'm not, I don't record vocals. So when it comes to producers, I feel I can kind of speak more on that personal level a little bit.
Okay, so it's almost like there's a piece of you that loves talking about the business, the
Yeah.
marketing, the stuff like that. You've
Yeah.
got the audience for it,
Yeah.
And so you had already said that you had, a low ticket product where you were selling
Yeah,
an
that too.
ebook,
Yeah.
right? So you were selling this ebook and you it seemed like you had this untapped potential in your audience.
Yeah.
And what I've felt like I've seen happen with us working together is because you've seen me talk about high ticket and I've talked about it with you. You were like, dude, maybe there is a potential for something high ticket here. And that's what we
Yeah.
kind of started building out midway through us working together. Can you talk about what that experience was like now that you and I made the pivot and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
maybe I'll do a high ticket selling to producers. What was that process like with us working together on that?
Yeah, I mean, like the low ticket item that I had was something that I put out, this selling beats guide I had a couple years ago. I know that like you and I, we kind of like really looked into like what is that? Like it was making sales really like passively. So I mean, I knew that there was an opportunity there. I know that you also like encouraged me to like, I guess kind of like even just pay more attention to the messages I was receiving or like seeing them in a different light because I would always get these messages from producers and a lot of them were asking like the same things. Um, so I was like, okay, I'm answering the same thing like over and over and over. And I guess maybe just going off that like two things, like I realized that like, you know, even though people are buying the selling beats guide from me, they really want my own like guidance and my own support with it. Like people will buy it, and then even though all the information is in the ebook, they would still ask me questions. So it was like, okay, I realize now that people want that sort of direct communication, that support. It's like so they want to buy access to me, and that's even
Mm,
like one of the reasons that I sign on to work with you with this stuff is just like even though like yeah, I mean I could watch hours worth of YouTube videos on setting up like ManyChat. It's like I wanted to work with you, right? And it was like even without a landing page or like all this like funnel stuff, it was I just wanted to work with like you personally, right? And that's one thing that I realized that like okay, people are asking me questions. They want me to review their stuff specifically. I'm already kind of doing that in DMs, but obviously it's hard giving someone so much information just through Instagram DMs, right? When you could really hop on a conversation and then just yeah, just the stuff I thought about when I joined the program here to work with you. It's like I want to work with you, right? Directly.
interesting. So, and I appreciate that, by the way. I'm honored. Like, that means a lot. It's so interesting because you were thinking to yourself, you wanted to work with me. And so you're like, maybe there's other people who wanted to work with you,
Yeah,
your
so as I
audience.
saw I saw two different sides of it, right? And that's I think one thing that really yeah, because it's like I'm a consumer of, your the program here and the stuff that you've done. But I'm also they're consumers of my product and my brand as well. So I'm kind of seeing it from both sides of it, which I think has really been good.
Interesting. You were the client of me, but then you saw, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's probably going to be my clients, right? So,
Yeah.
and what's really interesting, and yeah, this is something really interesting. You attract the type of client that you are.
Yeah.
And so when you're like, for example, when you get on a sales call, right? If you want somebody to one call close, or if you want someone to pay you up front, you have to be that type of client within
Hmm.
reason. Sometimes the salesperson or the coach on the other side is a shitty coach or salesperson and you
Yeah.
don't close with them. That's not your fault. Obviously, it's theirs.
Yeah.
But if you ever like what you did when we worked together was you decided to like, you know, put yourself in the position to just invest right away. And you did it on that call. And that was you proving to yourself that you're willing to take that leap for you. And what's cool
Yeah.
about that is when that happens for you as like a client gets on for them to potentially pay you, they're going to do the same because you have garnered that kind of energy in yourself that you genuinely believe, yo, I invest in myself. You should do the same. That's why I invest so much in coaching.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if you're a car dealer, if you're a car salesman, you work at Mercedes, but you drive a fucking BMW. It'd be
Yeah.
like, what? Like if you work at Mercedes, you should own a Mercedes. And so the type of clients you are going to attract are the type of client you are.
Hmm.
And so talk about the results, like talk about when it ended up happening through the course of us working together.
Yeah, I mean like No, I definitely like, love what you said there. And I think that the main thing is just like, being the type of person you are, like really being authentic. Like that's obviously what I always want to do. Um, but yeah, I mean, through us working together, like I know that we spent a couple of like the first couple, times we hopped on calls on sessions here, really trying to brainstorm it, right? Because as I was saying, there's so many different avenues and possibilities, and like I said, I'm the type of person who I like think of everything, right? And it's like, oh, I want to do 10 million things in a second. So, getting on calls with you like always helped me like see things clearly, really like hone in on what's working and so yeah, really like clarify that. I know that we spent like a couple of sessions also like getting data and experimenting, trying new things, right? Which I think has been a really great learning experience. And one thing I love too, it's like even if I do these things that maybe they aren't getting like sales right away. Like I was on a sales call and it didn't result in a sale, but I was like, this is still a win for me because it's a learning experience.
Mm.
So I love everything that we've been doing like that. And then, yeah, I mean, it's been really just figuring out like what can I offer to my audience, how to offer them, and when the opportunity, comes up and what came up for me to get my first high ticket one, what does that look like? So I mean, I think as a whole, it's just been really like, you know, of all these ideas I had, uh, really just like I don't want to say like perfecting it, but kind of like honing in on what that idea is and then how to execute it. So it's been an awesome experience all around.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. I love hearing that. And that's you, dude, your attitude of like, even if I don't close the sale, I still learn, and that's great. If you can take that attitude for the rest of your freaking life, like that's gonna help you, bro. Because I've had to learn that. Like
Yeah,
I've had to talk myself out of being negative if I don't close a sale. Like if I don't close
yeah,
a sale, I might say, "Oh fuck, they wasted my time" or whatever. But
yeah.
your attitude of like, no, everything's a learning lesson. That's literally the right way to think about it. And so you did end up getting your first high ticket client. Talk about that.
I did. Yeah, no, it was great. It was from someone who I was able to I guess kind of give enough value where they were wanting more and more.
Mm.
So they were someone who, bought the ebook guide that I had. I continued to, when they asked me questions, I would, give my best answers just through Instagram DMs. And it was someone who I guess, saw the potential in themselves, but also again, just see that I'm practicing what I'm preaching, right? And I can speak on how to grow a YouTube channel for beats because I'm uploading like 2 beats a week myself, right? So I'm like really like right in there what I could teach him. And this was someone who like, they kept asking for more and more like guidance. And it's funny because like I think the first time they asked me, I was like, I don't really have anything else to offer at the moment, right? Um, and then they like, they kept like asking me, and I was like, okay, well, now I know that, now I know what high ticket items are and what I could offer it to myself, and you know, coaching and one-on-one stuff like that. Like I was able to frame it in a way where I could say, hey, like we could do this. Like this is something that, I think really could get you there. And I see it clearly how it could work, right? So I was able to pitch him on that idea, and yeah, he jumped on it. I've pitched it to a couple of other producers as well, and even though I've only got that one close officially yet, like everyone else is giving me really great feedback on it too. So that's one thing that's really great too is that like um, the feedback has been really good pitching it to other people too.
Mm, that's dope. And so that didn't that came from your organic audience already.
Yeah,
Someone who had already previously purchased from you too. That's interesting. It's so funny, bro, because my mindset is I love paid ads so much.
yeah,
And I really grew a lot from paid ads. With
yeah,
my first coaching program, Rapid Fire Music Academy, it did not come at all from my warm audience. Like I didn't have anyone in my audience who was who would have bought it.
yeah,
And so maybe, I mean, I could have probably worked harder to do that, but I just went straight cold and paid ads. And but then with Music Money Mastery, my first I'm at 11 clients now, but 10. right? My first 10, including yourself, my first 10 clients came organically. Like I count you as
Yeah.
organic. We knew each other previous.
Yeah.
And almost, I'm trying to think about it, but all my clients, almost all my clients who have gotten results so far, which is almost all of them, that's how it happened with every single person. Like with you, you got someone from your
Okay.
audience. Ange got her first 7 clients in the first 30 days of us working together from warm outreach, not from ads, not from cold DMing.
Yeah.
A client named Noah, he teaches artists how to mix their own music, warm audience. Roberto, real estate coach, 15K cash collected, mostly from his warm audience, not
Wow.
ads. Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of Baby Boy Blue, warm audience. He made 3K in 3 weeks working with me as a producer,
Wow.
selling high ticket production. So it's just interesting that I don't know why, but you tipped the scale for me to realize like, damn, all my clients, even me, started with warm outreach. And it's interesting. So let's talk about this just to kind of put a bow on things. Like you got your first client, you have now maybe your eyes are open, like, oh, I can do a high ticket, and there's this audience
Yeah.
in my audience. What are you looking at in terms of your next steps?
I think next steps is to just kind of continue to, hit this thing, right? Obviously I've learned so much with this. And like I was saying, like I really see things clearly now. Like I have like solidified action plan where I feel like, the past few years, like I haven't had that. I've had a dream and a rough idea of what it could be, but I knew no way to how, like, no way how to implement it or what it would look like or, how to execute on that. So I feel like I now like have that specific action plan that I can follow. And yeah, I mean, I'm just like really happy that I can actually like see things clearly now. I have that plan. I'm um, still going to be obviously like testing the, waters and kind of learning and, getting on these sales call, even if I know already that it might not lead into a sale, like I'm excited to just continuously learn more. But
Mm,
I think that that's where I'm at is just like, yeah, keep going with everything that we're that we've built on that we've created here and just yeah just kind of give it my everything, I guess. I'm really excited from this point out.
dude, that's fucking awesome. I think the thing too that I'm most excited to see from you is like before we worked together, right? It was selling beats online. And
Yeah,
now, it's great because we've tapped into something that you didn't, I mean, maybe you knew it was there, but you just didn't tap into it, which was like you
yeah,
can help
exactly.
producers make money. And
Yeah,
I'm happy for that because selfishly for me, one of the reasons I started Music Money Mastery was I wanted to have a bigger ripple effect. Like I
hmm,
wanted to be because my coaches who've helped me, they have had a ripple effect so much because really you worked with Lee, but really you are a product of Austin Medlin, my sales coach, and you were a product of Jeremy Pogue, my marketing coach, and
yeah,
they get the credit too. And that I
okay,
wanted that. I was like, dude, I want to not just affect my clients, but my clients' clients, like be a granddad of a client granddad or
yeah,
some shit.
I like that. Yeah,
And so that was one of the things, and you've helped me achieve that through you just helping your first client. And the more clients you help, bro, like to me, I'm like, great. Now I'm affecting the music industry even further, and that just it helps me feel better about
yeah,
myself and what I'm doing. So I
I
appreciate
love
you
that.
a lot for that, man. And just to kind of again, kind of final thoughts, someone's considering working with me, someone's seeing my Instagram, my YouTube, maybe they've already booked a call, whatever it is. They're an expert musician. They want to learn how to create and package their skills into a high ticket offer and make some money. What would you say to them if they're looking at working with me and joining Music Money
Yeah,
Mastery?
I think it's worth it, man. It's again just that investment on yourself. I know that, being a kind of a self-employed music producer, I'm, just in this, room by myself so many times, but like,
Mm,
I think thinking ahead, if I really want this to be, something like growing and scaling and sustainable, it's like I need to bet on myself, right? Invest in myself, which as a result of that was joining the program here. So I would say it has been like, I don't know. I know it's still early, but kind of life changing. I'm really excited. Like, I can see the future more clearly right now, and that's what I was, building towards. So I would say it's really like really worth it. And I mean, yeah, I think being like a producer is probably one of the most like self-isolating types of
mm,
like industries, right? Because I'm in here. So yeah, sometimes I'm, getting on calls with rappers, singers, working with them, and I'm, doing a bunch of emails a day. Other days I'm just sitting here making beats totally by myself, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I mean,
I've been there.
having that like guidance, having that connection is so important and so I think under like rated and underappreciated in what we do as music producers. And I think if you're a music producer who wants to really like do this long term, I think that that's something that you will eventually need to get to is, having someone, by your side and helping you out in a program like this. I think it's really, really important for producers.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. That's great. Where can people find you on social media so they can get connected with you?
Yeah, I guess the best place to get connected with me is my Instagram at Omito Beats, and then YouTube Omito Beats is where I post all my stuff. Those are the places I'm most active on.
Sick, dude. Well, that's awesome, man. Tim, appreciate you coming on this and doing this. Appreciate you giving your time to,
Yeah,
share your experience with me and with the audience, man. So I appreciate you a lot.
awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, bro.